Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben. I'm doing a Disney Plus original movie, Godmothered.
Nice dress. Is it new? Don't be mad. Don't be mad.
A young and unskilled fairy godmother ventures out on her own to prove her worth by tracking down a young girl whose request for help was ignored. It stars Isla Fisher as Mackenzie, Jillian Bell as Eleanor. This film was directed by Sharon Maguire. If you know Sharon, then you'll know that she directed the original Bridget Jones's Diary and also the third part, the Bridget Jones's Baby.
50% chance? Did you have a three-way?
Didn't know that going in, only knew that once I was doing research for this review. But had I known that when going in, I probably would have had a bit higher hopes for this film. Every year we get inundated with a bunch of straight to TV, DVD, misses the cinemas. We get a bunch of those sort of Christmas movies, and we sigh and hang our heads because for the most part there's a lot that are just kind of forgettable that you'll never want to go watch again. Every now and again you get a kind of diamond in the rough. And I'd seen a couple of the reviews which were not quite nice to this film. It's sitting comfortably at about 65% on Rotten Tomatoes if you care about all the amalgamation of critics that are housed in similar websites like Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic. So I went in thinking, oh, this is probably not going to be great and it's going to be pretty cheesy. And I have to say, I was really surprised. I actually enjoyed this a lot. The beginning took me a while to get into this film because it does take all the cheesiness, all the stuff that you think is going to happen happens. It's also got some really dodge CG with a fairy flying about in fairyland. However, once we get into the real world, our world, and we see the fairy story of the fish out of water that we've seen lots, but the way our actress acts the fish out of water story is pretty funny.
Is there a genie in there? Don't answer that.
So when they're going for the jokes, it doesn't quite work. But when they're not going for the jokes, it is actually really funny. When they're going for the lesser unintentional jokes. It's obviously written in the script to be funny, but there are moments where they're trying to go for the jokes that make you laugh. That doesn't quite work for me. I think that's aimed at a younger demographic, and I think that's kind of the missing points here, where some people didn't quite know what this film was trying to do, because even in some of the dialogue, they're going, right kids, it breaks the fourth wall, sort of, and them talking to the kids, and at that point you're thinking, oh, is this a kids movie? But then you get some of the adult jokes. It's similar to a Disney movie or Pixar movie where you have kid jokes that kids will love and you have adult jokes that adults will love, and you have that. So it is a family movie for, I guess, all demographics. So if you sit around with your family and you're wanting to watch a fun Christmas movie, especially young daughters and mothers, they're the main protagonists for this whole film are female, two daughters, an aunt and a mother and a fairy godmother. So definitely catered towards the female.
And fairy tales begin with once upon a time something amazing happened while she was drinking wine in her sweatpants.
However, I still really enjoyed it, and I thought it had a lot more heart than I was expecting. It finishes off the film kind of with a moral of the story that needed to be told, brings into question this question about, do we need magic to make us happen? And it kind of throws that into the mix. And so by the time you get to the end, when it's finishing all these kind of throws of the storylines that they needed to kind of fix up to finish, the fairy godmother needs to do a job, the family, the cliche family, do they get help? Will they come to find their prince? All of that is kind of thrown topsy-turvy and has given us a new look at how to deal with love. What is love? What does love look like? They throw that up into question. What is a fairy godmother's job? Is it even old school? Maybe they need to change their ways. And so this film centers on the fairy godmother story, but also the other family story, the one that the fairy godmother in the making wants to help. And so rather than just concentrating on what the fairy godmother needs to do for this family, you would concentrate on the fairy godmother's ability as well, but that comes later on. So by the time you get to the fruition of the story, I thought, this went in a way that I wasn't quite expecting, and it actually finished much better than I was expecting. There's definitely the cheesy, happy moments, but we all need that. In 2020, we could do with a few more cheesy Christmas films that make our hearts grow 3 sizes, and I think you'll find that this film does it. If it can do it for me, a 40-year-old man who is wearing a Santa hat and a Christmas Christmas jumper all ready for Christmas, even though it's early December, then I think it can do it for you as well. It has more heart than I was expecting. The comedy timing with Isla Fisher and the rest of the cast, especially the godmother, I thought was great. The way they interact with each other, the kids weren't annoying at all. I thought they actually did a really good job. The cheese is not so much that will make you go the whole time. You might actually end up going, yeah, this is much better than I expected it. So I'm going to give this a B+. It's one of the better straight to TV Disney movies, one of the better Disney movies. You know, we have so many of these types of Disney movies. I would have to go against some of the critics and say, nah, I don't know. I would say maybe you need to take the word humbug out of your mouth. This actually is a fun Christmas movie. It does change up things a bit. It definitely has the formula that you expect, but it changes up enough to keep it engaging, and the performances are really interesting. The music, the score was good, but the actual soundtrack I thought was a lot of fun, helped elevate the film into a fun zone rather than ever being too serious. It does occasionally get to the meat of the story, which has helped cement the story being a bit more real world rather than just all fairy and magic. So we have a family deal with loss, and so that is a centerpiece of the storyline, and the way it's crafted together. Obviously, the director has had a handout. So if you've watched the original Bridget Jones' Diary, then you'll know that the comedy balance between life and love and relationship is all done really well in that. So you have it is hilarious, but it also has a really heartfelt story that deals with some dark themes, and that intertwined is why Bridget Jones is so well respected as a comedy drama film. Obviously, Renee Zellweger was excellent in that. So here we get a similar thread, and you can see a well-crafted film from a director that knows what she's doing, but it's more family orientated. And so I thought, yeah, well done. Definitely worth adding it to your list. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting it. Maybe that's part of why I enjoyed it so much. I expected it to be really bad. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite sort of TV movie, Christmas movie like this? I'd love to know. And is Die Hard a Christmas movie, or is it not? Thanks so much for watching this review, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.